Have you ever wondered what it would be like if a xenomorph from Alien actually existed? I mean, can you imagine coming face to face with one of those terrifying creatures in real life? Forget everything you've ever seen in horror movies, because reality would be 100 times worse. Trust me, it's not just about surviving an encounter, it's about rethinking everything we know about our place in the universe. So, buckle up, and let's dive into a world where xenomorphs are not just Hollywood nightmares, but a very real threat. First, let's set the scene. You're going about your day, maybe heading to work or grabbing a coffee, when suddenly news breaks. There's been a mysterious creature discovered in a remote area. At first, no one knows what to make of it. Scientists and military officials scramble to understand it, and people are glued to their screens, trying to figure out what's going on. And then bam! The footage is leaked. A creature with a long, slithering tail, acidic blood, and an exoskeleton that looks like it was built for war is shown crawling up walls, hunting down anything that moves. It's a xenomorph. Now, imagine the panic. Airports shut down, governments go into overdrive, people start talking about mass evacuations. The thing is, xenomorphs are not like any other creature we've ever dealt with. They don't just run around mindlessly. They hunt with precision, and they're practically built to adapt to any environment. Think about it. They can survive in space, so dealing with Earth's conditions would be like a walk in the park for them. And it gets worse. These creatures reproduce in the most horrifying way, using us as hosts. Yeah, I bet you're thinking about the chest burster scene right now. Well, that's how they'd multiply, one terrifying scream at a time. But let's get into some details here. Xenomorphs don't just rely on brute force, even though they're incredibly strong. These things are stealthy. They could be hiding in a ventilation duct, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They don't make noise. They don't give you a warning. So, trying to run away? Forget about it. You wouldn't hear them coming. And, let's be real, with their acid blood, any attempts to shoot or stab them would just make things messier. You'd have acid splashing everywhere, burning through walls, floors, and, worst of all, through you. Yeah, good luck with that. Now, let's talk survival. In this xenomorph-infested world, humans would have to radically change their way of life. Cities would no longer be safe, especially with these creatures able to adapt to almost any environment. People would flee to remote areas, but even that wouldn't guarantee safety. The military would probably try to contain the situation, but you know how that goes in movies. Containment almost never works. We'd see martial law, quarantines, and cities turned into battle zones. But the biggest problem? Xenomorphs don't just stay in one place. Once they've nested, they spread and fast. It's not like these creatures would just target humans, either. They'd go after anything that moves. Cows, pets, even birds. Anything could become a potential host. So we'd be dealing with all kinds of new, terrifying hybrids. Imagine a xenomorph with the agility of a bird or the speed of a cheetah. Terrifying, right? But before we dive further into how they'd absolutely change our world, let's quickly mention something important. We're only scratching the surface here. And if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We've got more crazy what-if scenarios like this coming up, so you won't want to miss out. Now, back to the chaos. The big question everyone would be asking is, how do we fight back? Well, traditionally in the movies, flamethrowers seem to do the trick. But in reality, that wouldn't be so simple. Xenomorphs are smart. If fire becomes a problem for them, they'd likely adapt. Maybe they'd hide in places that are impossible to burn or attack in large numbers, where fire just wouldn't be effective. In the end, our only real option might be to quarantine entire regions. Think about that. Entire countries shut off from the rest of the world just to contain these creatures. And even that might not work for long. We'd probably start seeing some insane technology developments, though. Scientists and engineers would have to work overtime, coming up with new weapons, containment fields, or even new ways to detect these creatures before they can attack. Think drones, thermal imaging, and maybe even robots designed specifically to fight off xenomorphs. But while all of this sounds like it could be effective, we'd always be one step behind. Xenomorphs evolve quickly, and for every new weapon we create, they'd find a way to counter it. And let's not forget the impact on our environment. If xenomorphs were real, we'd start seeing ecosystems collapse. These creatures don't care about the balance of nature. They'd hunt everything, from the smallest animals to the largest predators, leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. The food chain would be broken, and eventually, we'd run out of resources ourselves. No more cattle, no more fish, and probably no more crops either. The world would face mass starvation. But here's the thing. Xenomorphs aren't just about destruction. They'd force us to rethink everything. How would we adapt? What new technologies would emerge to fight these creatures? And what if, instead of always running from them, we found a way to coexist? It sounds crazy, but humans are adaptable too. Maybe, just maybe, we'd find a way to capture and study these creatures, learning how to protect ourselves better. Imagine the scientific breakthroughs. We might even discover new biological tools from xenomorph DNA that could help us heal faster or develop stronger materials. But let's be honest, living with xenomorphs would be a constant nightmare. The fear of being hunted, the paranoia of something lurking in the dark, it would change the way we live entirely. Cities would have to be redesigned with more secure buildings and better defenses. Nighttime would become a danger zone, and people would live in constant fear of hearing that deadly hiss. Now, I know what you're thinking. Could this actually happen? Well, luckily for us, xenomorphs are just the stuff of fiction, for now. But as we continue to explore space, who knows what's out there? Could there be an alien species like the xenomorph waiting to be discovered? It's not entirely impossible. We've already found some weird stuff out in the universe, and as technology advances, we'll be able to explore even deeper into space. So, while it might seem far-fetched, we can't rule out the possibility entirely. So, where does that leave us? If xenomorphs were real, the world as we know it would never be the same again. We'd live in constant fear, battling against an apex predator that's smarter, faster, and deadlier than anything we've ever seen. But at the same time, we'd push our technology and science further than ever before, unlocking new potential we didn't even know existed. It would be a world of chaos and innovation, survival and discovery. And as we wrap up, here's the real takeaway. While xenomorphs might just be a terrifying thought experiment for now, the idea of encountering something truly alien is very real. The universe is vast, and we've barely scratched the surface. So, whether we find something friendly or something out of a nightmare like the xenomorph, one thing's for sure, we'd better be ready for it. Thanks for watching, and before you go, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed this video. We've got a ton more fascinating scenarios to explore, and you won't want to miss them.